Welcome to The Revealer. The news broke like a sudden desert bloom. Headlines across Tel Aviv and Jerusalem declared something astonishing. Filipino, the unofficial language of the Israeli playground, in parks, markets, and family homes, a new sound was becoming common, the gentle melodic cadence of Filipino spoken by native-born Israelis. This wasn't a government initiative or a formal education program, it was something far more organic. Israel, a nation built on Hebrew, is no stranger to immigrant languages. But Filipino? That was unexpected. Yet the evidence was everywhere, children asking for milk, teens greeting friends with, "How are you?" This was a quiet revolution, one word and one family at a time. The story wasn't about linguistics, it was about connection, a bond that defied easy explanation. What began as a curiosity soon revealed something profound, a deep cultural interweaving changing daily life for thousands of Israeli families. Why this language? Why this culture? The answers lay not in policy but in simple, powerful human relationships. This story had been unfolding for decades, largely unnoticed inside Israeli homes. As of August 2025, this trend is no longer a headline, it's a reality. It's a testament to a unique relationship, both deeply personal and historically significant. The story of Israelis learning Filipino is about two cultures finding common ground. It's a narrative of gratitude, respect, and affection, how essential human needs can build bridges that transcend borders. This is a story that deserves to be seen. The rise of Filipino culture in Israel began subtly, not in embassies, but in living rooms and kitchens. Filipino caregivers arrived to care for Israel's elderly and children, bringing their language, food, and values. What nobody predicted was how deeply these seeds would take root. Israeli families found in their Filipino caregivers a source of stability and warmth. These caregivers became fixtures in the daily rhythm of the household, sharing stories, songs, and recipes. The impact was most visible in the younger generation, children who absorbed Filipino as naturally as Hebrew. Words like, "thank you," and "I love you," became part of their first vocabulary. This linguistic osmosis signaled a much deeper cultural integration. The influence came not from power but from personal relationships, a grassroots movement. True cultural exchange happens at the human level, in the shared moments of everyday life. The Filipino presence in Israel evolved into a genuine cultural bond, enriching the nation in ways no one foresaw. To understand the warmth between Israelis and Filipinos, we must look back in time. On November 29, 1947, the Philippines cast a crucial yes vote for the UN resolution that paved the way for Israel's creation, the only Asian nation to do so. This act of political courage has never been forgotten. It became the bedrock of a lasting friendship, a gesture of support at a critical moment. When Filipino workers began arriving decades later, they entered a country with a pre-existing sense of gratitude. This historical context set the stage for a relationship different from typical labor migrations. Over the years, both nations have found supportive friends in each other. This diplomatic warmth trickled down to the personal level, creating an atmosphere of mutual respect. Filipino workers were seen as representatives of a friendly nation. This foundation of historical friendship explains why integration has been so positive. The 1947 vote was more than a political act, it was a handshake across continents. It created a powerful undercurrent of camaraderie that shapes interactions to this day. It's the silent backdrop to every shared meal, every learned word, and every bond formed in the home. The story of Filipinos in Israel is, at its core, a story about care. As Israel's population aged and more women joined the workforce, the country turned to foreign workers. Filipinos, renowned for their compassion, answered the call. They arrived by the thousands, caring for Israel's elderly and young, quickly becoming indispensable. Their dedication and professionalism earned them a stellar reputation. They provided not just physical assistance but emotional support and companionship. For the elderly, a Filipino caregiver was often a lifeline. For children, a second mother. They became the quiet, steady heartbeat of many Israeli homes. These women left their own families behind, enduring years of separation to provide for them. Despite challenges, their resilience and commitment became their hallmark. They weren't just filling a labor shortage, they were filling an emotional void. Their contribution became woven into the very fabric of Israeli family life. Many Filipino caregivers arrived as employees, but over time something remarkable happened. The lines between employer and employee blurred, replaced by genuine affection and shared experiences. A caregiver who raised a child from birth became more than a nanny. She became auntie or tita, a beloved family member. Living within the home, caregivers witnessed life's laughter and tears, celebrations and crises. They celebrated Jewish holidays and shared their own traditions, like Christmas or Easter. Israeli families saw not just a worker but a person with dreams and worries. Caregivers in turn developed fierce loyalty and love for the families they served. This transformation from hired help to family is the core of this cultural phenomenon. It's why Filipino language and culture are not just observed but embraced. When you love someone, you want to understand their world, their food, their language. The relationship becomes relational, not transactional. This deep connection is the fertile ground where Filipino culture has flourished in Israeli homes. It's a story of cross-cultural love and understanding. Walk through a park in Israel and you might hear children mixing Hebrew with Filipino words. A child might call for their yaya or ask, "Gusto mo ng tubig?" Do you want water? These children have grown up with two mother tongues, Hebrew and Filipino. This bilingualism isn't taught in schools, it's absorbed naturally through daily life. For them, Filipino is the language of comfort and care, spoken with ease and no accent. They switch between languages seamlessly, expressing themselves in both. But the influence goes beyond language. They absorb Filipino values like respect for elders and community. Israeli parents notice a certain softness or politeness in their children, shaped by their Filipino nannies. These children are growing up as cultural ambassadors, carrying a unique heritage. Their voices represent the future of this heartwarming cultural relationship. The relationship between Israeli families and Filipino caregivers is a dynamic exchange built on mutual respect. Israeli adults learn Filipino phrases as a sign of appreciation, not just for communication. They recognize the sacrifices caregivers make, supporting them in meaningful ways. The learning flows both ways. Filipino caregivers learn Hebrew, celebrate Jewish holidays, and become part of Israeli life. This dual cultural literacy enriches everyone involved. It's not about one culture assimilating another, but about coexisting and learning from each other. The home becomes a living laboratory of cross-cultural understanding. Both Israelis and Filipinos are teachers, and both are students. The cultural bond is perhaps most deliciously expressed through food. Israeli kitchens now feature Filipino dishes like adobo and lumpia, prepared by caregivers as a special treat. Celebrations are shared. Filipino caregivers bring Christmas traditions while joining in Jewish holidays. Both cultures value family, respect for elders, and community solidarity. These shared values create a strong foundation for connection. Sharing food, festivities, and faith enriches everyone involved. The kitchen table and holiday decorations become powerful symbols of this bond. It's a true sharing of lives, one plate of pancit at a time. Ultimately, Israelis are learning Filipino out of love. This isn't language learning for business or travel, it's about care, affection, and family. When a child speaks Filipino to their nanny, it's the language of nurture. When an adult learns a phrase for a caregiver, it's a gesture of gratitude. The goal isn't fluency, but connection. A simple "kamusta ka" can convey deep appreciation. In many places, immigrants are expected to learn the host language. Here, the dynamic is often reversed. Host families learn the language of the newcomer, elevating the caregiver to a cherished family member. Filipino words in Israeli homes are more than just words. They're carriers of a powerful emotional message. They're the vocabulary of a unique bond between two peoples. Family isn't always defined by blood, but by love, care, and respect. The rise of Filipino in Israel is not a linguistic curiosity. It's a love story written one word at a time. The most powerful connections are built not on treaties, but on the simple human need to care and be cared for.